Look at your reflection. It seems instant, perfect, cheap. But for most of human history, a clear reflection was a luxury worth more than gold. Wars were fought over it. The technology to create this object was once the most guarded state secret in Europe. In 17th century Venice, if a glassmaker revealed the secret of the mirror to a foreigner, he faced the death penalty. Why was a simple piece of glass considered a weapon of economic warfare? And how did we finally learn to see ourselves clearly? This is the history of the mirror. 8,000 years ago, in what is now Turkey, the first mirrors were made not of glass, but of stone, polished obsidian. The reflection was dark, shadowy, and distorted. You could see your silhouette, but not your details. Later, civilizations used polished copper or bronze, but metal had a problem. It tarnished quickly and required constant polishing. Even in the Middle Ages, glass mirrors were rare and tiny. They were blown as spheres and cut, creating a curved fish eye reflection. Nobody truly knew what they looked like until the artisans of Venice made a chemical breakthrough. By the 1500s, the island of Murano became the center of the glass world. They invented cristallo, glass that was totally clear, unlike the murky glass of the rest of Europe. But the real secret was the backing. They created an amalgam of tin and mercury. The process was toxic. Workers smoothed tin foil onto glass and flooded it with deadly mercury. The fumes slowly poisoned them, but the result was spectacular. A perfect, flat, bright reflection. The Venetian mirror was born. Venice knew this was a gold mine. They enacted strict laws. Glassmakers were forbidden from leaving the island. Historical records suggest that the Council of Ten threatened to execute the families of any artisan who defected. A mirror wasn't just furniture, it was a state secret. Enter Louis XIV of France. He was obsessed with luxury and hated paying Venice for it. In the 1660s, his minister Jean-Baptiste Colbert organized a spy mission. French agents smuggled Venetian glassmakers out of Murano to Paris. The result was the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles, 73 meters of light. At the time, this was an unimaginable display of wealth. A single medium-sized mirror in that era could cost as much as a country estate. Aristocrats would bankrupt themselves just to own one. But these mirrors were still made with toxic mercury. The reflection was beautiful, but the production was deadly. The final revolution happened in 1835. A German chemist named Justus von Liebig changed everything. He invented the silvering process. Instead of toxic mercury, he used a thin layer of metallic silver deposited chemically onto glass. This was safer, cheaper, and faster. Suddenly, mirrors were no longer for kings. They were for everyone. Within a few decades, mirrors appeared in hallways, bedrooms, and bathrooms across the world. Before mirrors, people rarely saw their own faces, except in still water. The proliferation of mirrors changed human psychology. It gave rise to the self, the ability to examine, critique, and know our own image intimately. It sparked an explosion in self-portraiture and individualism. From a black volcanic stone to a toxic mercury pool, and finally to a silver-coated sheet of glass. The mirror is the only object that has no image of its own. It only shows us what is already there. This was the history of the mirror. Subscribe to First Shapes to see the world differently.